Welcome to Meet the Candidate. I'm Chris Clark, President and CEO of the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce. Today we're joined by Matt Riffey, QCUSD Governing Board candidate. Matt, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you today, Chris?
Good, thank you for being here. Matt, you're currently on the governing board and you're running again. This will be your second time?
Yes, this is my first term. If I win this time around, it'll be my second and final. I'm term limit myself.
There we go. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been out here? Where are you from? What do you do?
We've been in Arizona about, I would say 30 years. In this area, about 20. I work for Intel Corporation in Chandler. I'm a compliance analyst there. Got 4 daughters and 1 wife and 1 dog.
That is a lot of girls.
Oh man.
School age, or are they out of school?
They're out of school. My last one finished Queen Creek High School 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how did you come to be involved in the community and on the school board?
When my last one was a junior or senior, I kind of looked around and at my life and I said, you know, I've got a little extra time. I could spare some time to do some community things. So I decided to get involved more, and I heard there was an election coming up, you know, in the following year. It takes a long time the process takes a long time. So I decided to throw my hat into a ring and had some help from one of the other candidates that was running again, and got into it that way.
And so is it what you expected? That's not a job that a lot of people really want to go and do. So how has that worked out for you, and what's been happening? You
know, I was a little idealistic when I ran, thinking, oh, I think I have some good ideas what I could change. And the reality of it is, when you get in there and start opening the hood on the processes, the things that I had thought were already in place. I didn't, you know, if people do their due diligence, do some research, if they have issues, typically they can find out that, yeah, that's not as big an issue as we think it might be, or it's been taken care of already. It's been addressed.
So Queen Creek Unified is one of the fastest growing in the state, if not nation. What kind of challenges does that present? What do you see coming forward, and what's been accomplished so far?
I think the biggest challenges we've had is where to put these kids when they come in. We get them, you know, every year we have a company that comes in, a demography company, that tells us what's coming, and we can kind of prepare for it. But you can't put up a building in 2 or 3 months. So figuring out where to put those kids, keeping the classes the appropriate size, are all a really big challenge for us. I think that some of the other challenges are, you know, the climate we're in now with respect to the political arena we're in, sometimes we'll have people come to meetings thinking one thing is going on when it's not really the case, like I mentioned earlier. That's kind of been a challenge, but overall it's been great. Parents are looking out for their children, which we want. We're all about the students in the district. That's our product. And we can't fault a parent for being concerned and raising those concerns at all. We want that.
You mentioned where to put the kids, and building schools is difficult. The school facilities department provides a certain level of funding, but you can only apply every so often, and tends to be the shell of a building. So how do we finance that construction? What's happening currently, and how do you see the state funding?
Yeah, the school facilities division does not fund the school that we want, and I say that with some reluctance because they have been great. They've given the district an incredible amount of money, and we're very grateful for it. But what it costs to build a school and what we're able to per square foot and what they're able to give us per square foot, there's a difference there. So some of the things they've had to do is cut back on some of the construction methodologies that they would use in the past. Some of the labs, they've built rooms where they can build out a science lab later if needed. they've just kind of pared back the construction of the schools in that manner.
And so that gets us to what the district has typically done is gone out for bond. That has failed the last couple of times. And they're currently out for override now, which is a little bit different.
Right.
What is the difference between the bond and the override, and what's your position on the override?
The bond, typically we say it will support buildings, buses, and books, I believe is the 3 Bs. Whereas an override is curriculums, employees, teacher pay, academic programs, things like that. My position on prior to being on the school board, I was a no guy on the bonds every time because I didn't know, right? And the growth wasn't as high as it is now here. But now for this override, I'm really in support of it. All five of us on the board voted unanimously to go after this override, to pay our teachers. We want to retain and keep good teachers. We want to have great curriculum for our kids and continue the outstanding scholastic experience they have here.
And one thing, this is the override is a continuation of something that's already being paid. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have one more year on the previous override before we have to start feathering off. And it's not a cutoff at the end, it's a stepped approach when that money goes away. But yes, you're right, it's as you described.
So one of the things that you mentioned was classroom expenditure. So this is primarily for classroom and programming, the override, and it feathers off. So does that mean programs will disappear? What happens? We cut teachers' pay?
There's been, if it doesn't, well, we did some changes around with if the override does not pass. Yes, there will have to be cuts. The teachers probably will not see an increase in pay. Some of the programs will not be supported. Some of the things the school district's able to do is support, like for ACT. If I'm a student, I'm going to take an ACT course. If it costs $100, I'm not sure what it is.
And the ACT is the test for
to get into college. Yeah, okay. SAT, ACT. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot the acronym. I should know that. But the school will offset some of those costs so the families don't have to. So that type of thing will be going away. Some of the ROTC would be at risk, which are great programs. But yeah, some of these programs that are extra to the district, but really important to a well-rounded student, and it gives those kids that are interested in extracurricular things the ability to do them, and we don't want to lose those.
One of the comments that we hear is that the district is crowded because of out-of-boundary kids. Is that the case? How does that work?
Well, the way the law reads, if you have room in a school, you are required to take a child. Arizona is a state where if I want to drive my kid to whatever school, I can. So if parents are choosing Queen Creek, which is kind of a feather in this district's cap if people want to come here, we are required to take them up to the point where it would put an in-district student out of a space. So we're bound to take those students.
But in-district kids get priority.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that it's great to have people involved in the process, and elections are great. I'm excited to run and hopefully win again. I've really enjoyed working with the district. We have an award-winning district here. They're financially responsible. They get financial awards. I really enjoy the job of being a volunteer school board member.
So if people want to find out more about you and your campaign, where can they go?
They can go to keepourqcleaders.com to find out more, to donate if you felt so compelled to the campaigns, but keepourqcleaders.com.
Great. Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it.